Triple M Footy is the number one football call on radio. And your front row.
See your Mitsubishi dealer for the Mitsubishi end of financial year sale. On now for the Mitsubishi Triton. Welcome to the Triple M Friday Huddle for McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Triple M rocks footy.
Friday night footy of the Dogs and the Cats. The Cats have had the wood over the Dogs for the last 9 years. Big show coming your way. Jack McRae, injured Bulldog, will join us in the box. Corey Enright from the Cats will join us as well. Some real confusion a minute leading up to the show about what we were and what we weren't allowed to go to air with, still being sorted out in the back row. And it is a vastly different Friday Huddle team. Leading teams came in during the week and they've made some big changes. Nate Brown and Damien Barrett are here. We'll get to the other two gentlemen in a moment. But, Noodles, nice to see you. No Chris Judd.
No Chris Judd this week. I don't know why, but I've been led to believe that his Judge Juddy was groundbreaking in year one.
Yes.
Started off very well this year for possibly the first 4 or 5 weeks, but like West Coast Eagles, they just hit a rough patch over the last couple of weeks. And Juddy's Judge Juddy, I don't know whether he's been got to by people at Carlton or he's moving up in the world there, but it has been pretty ordinary for 3 weeks.
So he's been spelled. Damien Barrett is here. Hello, Damo.
Hello, Howie.
No Luke Darcy. What's happened to our good friend the Duke?
Well, as Brownie revealed to our listeners last week, that he's got this condition known as
syndrome.
Straight back syndrome. And there is some reports around this week that he might be requiring some attention to it. So I think he's just taken himself away from
surgery,
all media, just to deal with the
surgery,
the straight back problem. Yeah,
they're worried that he's turning slowly into an emu. That's how long his neck is, Big Duke. So the straightness, you normally got a good posture when you're straight, but his is too straight, so it's actually falling over the back. And as BT said, he could put his head back over his own backside and then up.
Yes, Nathan, I think we understand where you come from. So, we are too short, but we've got two massive inclusions. Leigh Montagna is here to call the game. Hello, Joey. Nice to see you.
Thank you, Howie. Yeah, it's a privilege to be part of the Friday Huddle gang, so thanks for having me aboard.
A bit of a step up for you as well, I would have thought.
It is. I'm waiting for the initiation. I don't know what I have to do. Juddy's not here to have something a bit sick, wouldn't he, make me do?
Pretty quiet time of your life right now.
Yeah, pretty quiet. Nothing much going on. Just got a baby due in about 3 days. So
we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a moment because we have to introduce the fifth member of the team who just wandered in here, and normally sort of everyone gets the piss taken out of them, etc., and everyone's just hello. Barry Hall is here. Hello, Barry.
How are we, gentlemen?
Great to see you.
Well,
how are you, big man?
I got an email and I thought, what am I doing here with all these heavy hitters? But I understand there's a bit of a shake-up at Triple M.
There is.
There's a review system going on.
There is.
And that's why we're here, boys.
That's why you're here.
That's why you're been any piss taking delivered left yet.
Yeah, this is what we normally do. So we'll get to Joe in a moment. But Damo and Nate, give your best to the big fella. What do you got?
You go first, Damo.
No. What we are going to do later in the show, the three of you, Joey, you weren't here for the meeting, you don't know about this. The three of you can ask one question of Barry. Doesn't matter what it is. It can cover anything, on-field, off-field, etc. So in about half an hour's time, you get to ask one question each. We'll also open it up to the Triple M family at Triple M Footy.
Don't be soft.
Well, this is the thing. You can ask whatever you want. Send us your questions for Barry at Triple M Footy. We'll choose one, so there'll be 4 questions put to you, Barry.
Right.
You're going to answer any of them?
Very open and honestly, yeah.
And you will judge which was the hardest, toughest question.
So can I ask 2, Howie?
No, okay. You get 1. So you really got to put him on the line. Now, Joey, it is great to see you here. We're scared of Barry, so we're going to be nice to him. But it's come to our attention that the beautiful Erin, your beautiful wife, is heavily pregnant. Can you give us an update?
Yes, that's correct. Wednesday looks like being the day that we'll go in and hopefully have a baby, but we're on call any time now, so I've got the phone handy, and I'm not sure what the etiquette is. If the phone does go off, Damo, what is the rule?
I'd be taking the call.
Take the call?
I'd be taking the call, yeah.
How far have you? Have you had the old stretch and...
Yeah, what's it called?
The sweep.
The sweep.
Yeah,
we had the sweep. We had the sweep.
I'll explain it to you.
Explain it.
You've had 4 kids, mate. What were you doing with your
Talk about your wife's sweep.
Sweep. Yeah, well, the obstetrician just has a little feel and makes sure that they're starting to dilate and puts a couple of fingers up and just checks.
It's a procedure before birth, baby. Just go with that.
Sorry.
Hey, Joey was a bit disturbed because the doctor was a good-looking rooster.
Yeah, he's not bad
about 40 years of age. Yeah. And he did the sweep with his fingers and then licked his fingers up. That's disturbing stuff.
Oh, gee, that... Now, Joey.
He's replaced Johnny perfectly.
Joey, I put it to you that You've got the opportunity to call a game of Friday night football.
Yes.
On Triple M.
Yep.
The big time. The biggest game you've ever had to call in your career.
It's a grand final for Joe.
Yeah.
It's a grand final for you. You should be at home beside Aaron. And I put it to you, you've put your career in front of your first child.
That's a good one. Have I? No, I haven't, because if I got a phone call, I'd take it and I'd leave straight away. So I will be waiting to leave.
Are you going to leave us?
Yeah, I will. I think I have to do that. It's the right thing to do.
What do you think?
It's tough your first year out. I mean, your wage goes from Joe probably would have been on 650 grand a year at St Kilda, and at best, it might be about 75 this year with all these commitments. So you need to take what you can get your first year out.
Absolutely.
Damo, you're a dedicated family man. How do you see a man putting his calling career in front of his beautiful wife at home?
I think he can balance. I think he's going to be able to do both. He's proven he can do a footy career and call at the same time as he did last year. I think we'll back him in.
Hey, Randy just spoke about payment. If he leaves halfway through, does he get paid half?
That gets split between us.
Yeah. So you got your phone on, in all seriousness.
Yeah,
There's a famous football story about a man on the AM band by the name of Anthony Hudson, who was in Adelaide when the phone rang. He got on a private jet that I think was a Triple M jet on the way home, Damo. You were probably there.
Yep, we were. It was a Friday night, and we were going to that phase where Jim thought we could only travel by that way of transport. And we were able to get out of Adelaide, and he jumped in on the plane with us. And by the time he had touchdown, baby was born with Eloise, and all good, but he missed it.
Yeah, he missed the birth. He missed the birth.
Well, you don't go interstate when your wife's due.
No.
Do you?
Well, personally, I wouldn't go to Etihad if I lived in Albert Park, for example, Joey.
Can happen pretty quick.
Yeah, 10 minutes away, we'll be right.
Were you all at
With the sweep.
Were you all at the birth of all your children, Noodles, for all 17?
No, I was there for all four of them, Howie. Without a doubt, all four of them. Great moments.
And Barry, a lot to talk about with you, and we'll speak to the Gold Coast later on. But you got a beautiful family up on the coast now. How's the world up there?
Sure do. Yeah, fantastic. The weather's obviously great, but footy's not great up there at the moment. I'm covering the Gold Coast Suns a lot. And it's depressing at the moment. There's not much joy on field and off at the moment. We'll speak a bit more about that later.
Indeed, we will. Did Damien ever write anything truly negative about you, Barry?
Well, you know how players say, particularly controversial players say, I didn't read the papers. I didn't actually read the papers.
Right.
I didn't watch football. I trained. I loved playing football. I didn't worry about outside influences, and that's true. I know players say that, but actually read the paper quite a bit. That's an old wives' tale that's not true, but I didn't actually read papers that much. Obviously heard about it. I heard about some stuff that people
from Damien specifically?
Not Damien, no.
We had a few moments, didn't we? But nothing too serious.
Nah, nothing too serious.
Yeah.
If you haven't put him in a headlock, you're on pretty good terms with him.
There's actually been a few people that have had a question about him. Justin Lepich threw a glass at him once. Scotty Clayton, the great recruiter, elbowed him in the face. Luke Beveridge, the coach of the Bulldogs, held him up against a toilet door in a cubicle. Who else we got? Brad Scott threatened to kill him. So it's a long list.
I still find myself in these situations, mate. So maybe if I'm not, I don't know, maybe I'm not doing it properly, but no, Luke Beveridge is the one of that quartet that scares me.
Yeah.
All right, let's get some news underway, Damo. And nice now that we don't have to debate the MRO decisions for the next 4 days, because we've got answers on exactly what happened in what was a really good game of footy last night.
Arguably controversial ones too, I reckon. Howie, Nick Flostone has been given 1 week for the elbow that he flung back on Luke Parker. For those who saw it, are we happy with that being the outcome?
I thought he possibly could have got 2. You don't want any extra. I was one who thought Jeremy Cameron should have only got 3 because I thought it was careless and probably not intentional. Last night's was intentional. It's dangerous. It's a bad look. And, he got Luke Parker in the eye. Could have caused a bit more damage, but he didn't. Luke Parker's a pretty tough sort of character. Got up, kicked the goal, which I reckon did help Nick Flostone in the adjudication.
And the other one was Buddy Franklin being fined $1,500 for his open hand movement toward the throat of Alex Rance. I think he's arguably fortunate that's a fine and not a suspension, but that was the outcome.
It was an open hand sort of strike to the throat, wasn't it? I think he might have got away with one there.
Do you?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, fines, I reckon fines okay. He's got down the console of his car, so he'll pay that and move on pretty quick. You wouldn't want to see him out for a week for that. I don't think anyway.
No.
There was so much build-up to this game, and I actually found myself watching it for the first time in 10 years, looking towards an individual battle, which we'll discuss the rule changes and what they will or won't do later on. But how did you football experts see the battle between Rance and Franklin, which is the whole reason I watched the game?
Well, I thought Rance started really well. Buddy got a cheap one from a free kick early in the first quarter, but Buddy got them back in the game. I thought they were really slipping out of the game, and he put on a 5 or 7 minute patch, which was really good. Got them back in the game, but he stayed mainly inside forward 50, but he he had no support last night, Buddy Franklin. I thought if he had had support, then he might have got off the chain a bit more. You had Papley, who I reckon is really good for their structure, only a small man, but Sinclair didn't go into the forward end as much as he did. Hayward had a pretty ordinary night, and Isaac Heaney did get nowhere near it. So Lance had to do it all on his own, and when you bombed the ball as much as they did last night, it was easy pickings for the Richmond defenders.
Yeah, I thought Rance had the wood on him. I think he got a couple of lucky free kicks, didn't he? Where I thought Rance did it really well. He used his body to nudge Franklin under the footy, and Franklin sort of, exaggerated a couple of instances. He got a lucky 50-metre penalty from Rance stepping a metre over the mark, which happens 10 times a game. So I thought the honours went to Rance.
He does it pretty well, Rance, doesn't he? He doesn't use his hands at all. He uses his body to actually push blokes in the back and disguise it very, very well. Obviously, when you're going to run and jump from the footy and you've got a bloke right up your backside and pushing it, and as soon as you go to leap off one foot, you're off balance. And that's exactly what happened to Buddy last night. Couldn't really get his footing or balance to jump for the footy that much. It was a really good duel. It was, as you say, back in the old Carey, Jakovic days. They're the ones we used to look forward to. It's good to see it back.
And sorry, they do always seem to have something personal about them, don't they? They always go at each other, and even last night they were pushing. Yeah, there was pushing and shoving off the footy, and we saw Lance got him in the throat. So I reckon there's a little bit of competition there.
Well, it's probably because he doesn't like playing on him. Obviously, he's a hard player to play on. I had the same thing with Matty Scarlett. I hated Matty Scarlett because he was the hardest player to play on. I absolutely hated. I despised him. I ended up doing an island tour with him. And we become best mates. Like, he's just a lovable larrikin that loves playing footy, but I used to hate playing on him, and it would have been the same with Buddy and Rance.
The one we played in Perth?
No, the one after we went to Ireland, yeah.
I think Matty Lloyd said that about Matty Scarlett too.
Yeah.
Hated playing on him and then became pretty close with him.
Yep. Yeah, he's a good fella. Different dude.
The other issue to come out of the game last night in a more light-hearted fashion saw Jack Higgins talking to the Tigers, Damo.
Extraordinary, isn't it?
What exactly occurred there, from what you can understand? Set it up for people that didn't see it.
Okay, so half-time, the game was, 2 goals of difference at that stage, Brownie? Yep. Richmond's way. But again, a tense moment in a game that had been built up, 1v2, effectively on the ladder, and really sort of tense times. He got the players together, and you could see senior players, and Dustin Martin's the one in shot, Howie, for those who haven't seen it. It's accessible on social media platforms on Triple M, but he's talked to the players, and then right at the end they all broke up in laughter. But the context to it was half-time. So post-match, Higgins himself spoke on Fox Footy, and then the captain, Trent Cotchin, also spoke on Channel 7 to give it a form of context.
Well, because I normally start on the bench, I normally just think of something then. So, yeah, I got a bit of time on the bench, so I concentrate on the game, and then I also have a bit of at halftime. So the coach is giving us.
So you're telling us you're developing the joke during the game?
Yeah, 50-50. When I'm on the bench, I sort of think of something up. So, yeah.
Young Higo just likes to have a little rev up with the boys every now and then. So,
does he talk sense?
I can't understand a word he says, but it's typically very humorous. And I think at the end of the day, I know a lot of people think it's a business, but for us, it is a game, and we love playing it. And we're very grateful for the opportunity to play every week and want to have fun with it.
Just cracking up, the Tigers boys were. Dusty Martin, it was like he'd been told Jerry Seinfeld, absolute zinger, Damo.
Yeah, I know.
He's a quick talker, isn't he?
He talks quick. He's got to get the school zone and slow down to 40.
He does. A lot to come on the Friday Huddle. Jack McRae will join us shortly. On a serious note, an inappropriate comment was made at the start of the broadcast. If you heard it, we apologise unreservedly if anyone was offended. For the Mitsubishi Triton, this is the Triple M Friday Huddle. McDonald's, Triple M, rocks footy.
105.1 Triple M, weekend traffic.
The new BP Me app. Pay for fuel from your car.
Deer Park Bypass, shocker this evening. Very heavy going off the ring road. Now it does remain pretty heavy through Caroline Springs onto the Western Proper and through Rockbank. Don't really see pace until you get well past Leaks Road. Fine through Melton South. Tulla Freeway outbound. Around Moreland Road or just after remains pretty heavy going through to Mickleham Road though. And big delays remain Greensboro bound on the ring road. Western through to Keilor Park Drive, and again pretty heavy going through the Jacana Tunnel following a smash. How tired are you feeling right now? Wake up to sleep at the 40 Winks stock take sale. We can get up to 50% off store wide until Sunday. 40 Winks, serious about sleep. That's your Triple M traffic up to date.
The BOC Fill for Less gas deals keep on coming. Grab an oxyacetylene combo. That's a large G cylinder of oxygen for $179 and a large G of acetylene for only $249. Plus you get a free refill on both in the first 12 months. Works for me. There's more great Fill for Less gas deals across the D&G cylinder range. Check it out at your local BOC Gas and Gear or search BOC Fill for Less.
BOC works for me. Mate, you finally going to build that man cave out the back?
Yeah, sure am. Just on the Robot Building Supplies website now.
What do they sell?
Everything I need to build the best man cave a bloke ever hid from his family in. Steel wall sheeting, corrie sheeting, purlins, steel, insulation, Rio mesh, bolts and screws. I can order it on the website and get it all delivered.
Save time and money with Robot. Notting Hill, Sunshine, Preston, Dramana, Pakenham and Coldstream. Call 1300 GO ROBOT or order at robotbuildingsupplies.com.au.
ROBOT Robot Building Supplies.
The Mitsubishi end of financial year sale is on now with free auto upgrades across selected Triton models, like the hard-working Triton GLX Plus 4x4 double cab pickup with alloy wheels, reversing camera, touchscreen audio and powerful 3.1-ton towing. Just $34,990 drive away with a free auto upgrade. Mitsubishi end of financial year sale. The time of your life starts now. Private buyers and ABN holders, terms and conditions apply.
You know when you wake up with footy on your mind? Okay, Google, when does the West Coast Eagles game start?
They will take on Collingwood at 2:10 p.m.
Or when it's game time, but everyone in the house wants to watch something else? Okay, Google, what's the score in the Hawthorn game?
Hawthorn are currently leading.
Phew. It'll give you all the latest news from your team. It's an AFL history buff, and it'll even let you know if you're safe in the 8. It's Google Home Mini. Ask it questions, tell it to do things, get hands-free help with the footy. Requires Wi-Fi and compatible device.
Hey Tylers, we don't mess around with bad quality glues, only the best from Beaumont's. Right now you can score 3 free 20 kilo bags of CTA, one of Beaumont's best. Show any competitor Trade Club card and you'll get 60 kilos of free glue. Thanks to our mates at CTA. T's and C's apply.
1969, a woman vanishes.
A murderer confesses.
Hunt had also confessed to the murder of Lucille Butterworth.
Police do nothing.
They haven't found the body yet.
Years later, one detective broke ranks and set about bringing the killer to justice.
He knew that Lucille was dead.
Understate Lucille Butterworth. Available now at podcast1.com.au, the Podcast One app or Apple Podcasts.
Podcast One.
There are your co-workers, and then there are those that are more than that, your workmates. So when you want to spend some quality time with your mates after knock-off, head to Transport Bar for an after-work drink and a bite to eat. We're right in the middle of that buzzing cultural hotspot, Fed Square, and just across the road from Flinders Street Station. You'll love our delicious share plates or stone-baked pizzas and the choice of 15 beers on tap, plus your favourite local and international brews. Transport Bar, everyone's favourite after-work venue.
Woolworths is now single-use plastic bag free, and we know it's a big change. That's why if you forget your reusable bags, we're offering complimentary reusable bags for your shopping until Sunday the 8th of July. Standard shelf price 15 cents, only available in store and for pickup in New South Wales, Queensland, Victoria and WA.
For McDonald's,
I am loving Triple M Rocks Footy.
See your Mitsubishi dealer for the Mitsubishi end of financial year sale. On now for the Mitsubishi Triton. This is the Triple M Friday Night Huddle.
Western Bulldogs taking on the Cats. We'll get to that game shortly. Damo's got some interesting news about the way the game is going and exactly what's occurring on the Gold Coast. Mark Howard, Leigh Montagna, Damien Barrett, Nath Brown and big busting Barry Hall in the box. On the line is Dr. Owen White. G'day, Doc.
G'day, Howie. I'm on my way in, mate. I'm not far away.
Hey, just a couple of short, quick ones from you, and we'll speak to you when you get here. Reece Conker, can you update us on that terrible incident we all saw last night on Thursday Night Footy?
Yeah, I had a quick look at the Vision this morning, and it's always worrying when they put up that disclaimer saying the scenes that will distress some viewers, and sure did. That dislocated left ankle. Now, the club's come out and said he hasn't got a fracture, and in some respects that is good news. But the trouble with his injury, Howie, is that the ligaments around his ankle, particularly on the outside, the lateral, are that slack that enabled his ankle to dislocate. Now, if there's no surgery immediately, the club will have to watch him very closely. He's out for at least a month, and they will have to monitor him. And if he's got further instability in the games to come, and that's if he doesn't have the surgery, he will have to have the surgery then. I suspect it'll be surgery, possibly within the month if he dislocates again, or certainly at the end of the year to fix up that left ankle.
So it's a rolled ankle, Doc.
It's a real good rolled ankle, Brownie, that's for sure.
Hey, Doc, Tom Lynch up on the Gold Coast. Is his season done? Exactly what's occurred with his knee?
Yeah, look, that PCL injury that he had, and look, what's fascinating about this is big players with PCLs who need to kick goals and do ruck work, they need an intact PCL. It's very hard not to have it. I look back to Jared Ruffhead. He had exactly the same sort of injury, and you can say they're probably not dissimilar sort of body types. He had his PCL repaired in January 2016. He came back in May, and hasn't looked back since. I've got to say, I think with Tom getting his PCL done now, can I say it? It's an investment in his future because he's probably got another 8 to 10 years of footy. Good idea to get it done. He'll be fine and he'll be back for pre-season.
All right, Doc, we'll see you at the ground soon. Dr. Rowan White, the guru of all things medical in football. Before we move on to what's occurring on the Gold Coast, watching the footy last night, I think it's probably the best thing I've seen all year and shows me why Richmond's such a good footy club. When Conker went down to see every single player over
that's good,
go, Brownie, it was, I don't know if outstanding is the right word, but it was actually sitting home on the couch. It just hit me, gee, this is why they are such a good football team.
He would have felt great too, because he's had a lot of injury concerns. He's just getting back to playing some good football. I think we looked through his games this last night, Joey, and he's only played about 14 games in 4 years, which is extraordinary for a player of his talent. He was picked number 6, so for everybody to go over, and then that got the crowd involved too, and he would have been sucking on the green sucker last night, going off thinking, you know, this is pretty ordinary what's happened to me, but the result out here from the support I've got was pretty good. Would have given him goosebumps.
Absolutely. You can't manufacture that stuff either. You can tell if it's real or not, and it was as real as it gets. You know, they're a close bunch at Richmond. They've done something pretty special last year, and they want to continue it. And you can see what they showed last night. It's almost a bit of a statement that we're a close group, we look after each other, and geez, they're a contender again.
Very good leader, Trent Cotchin. I remember we did a game a couple of weeks ago where Shane Edwards got the Yukon Award, and you guys, I don't know who was calling, but they were calling him Titch, and Trent Cotchin got on and said to us, no, he doesn't like Titch, so call him
Shedder. That was your Saturday night crew. That was nothing. Don't look at me like that. I have nothing to do with that. No. It's funny, 2 years ago, everyone was saying that Trent Cotchin was he the right answer to lead the Richmond Football Club. He's now a premiership captain. It turns very quickly. Talking about Tom Lynch, do you expect him to see he play in the Gold Coast jumper ever again, Damo?
No, and haven't for some time. And again, until he makes his decision public, Howie, we need to have that little wiggle room on this conversation because, as we've seen sometimes, occasionally in the past, people sometimes wake up with a different view to the one they went to sleep with the previous night. But he's giving every indication he's out of there. Everyone in footy thinks he's out of there, and everyone who's in that recruitment space, how he still believes it's down to 3 clubs. Collingwood won.
Is his injury as bad as what he's saying? Could he be playing AFL football at the moment?
He could play this week, Brownie. But again, I don't hold that against him for what it's worth. There's no hope now for Gold Coast from a finals perspective. He's got to get himself right. It's not working. He's not having the effect that he has. But to answer your question, he could be playing this week.
To get to Collingwood, do they have to give up Darcy Moore? And from what I'm hearing, if they do, they will give up Darcy Moore.
Yeah, that's what it'll come down to. And we know and have known for some time the Swans are certainly one of the clubs looking at him. He's very keen to explore the Sydney potential there, and that would be something that Collingwood would have to give up, given that they're really keen to keep De Goey, and they've got, as best they can, indication from his camp that they will deal with them until they get the money right. So that's comforting for Collingwood from that perspective, but to get Lynch in. Look, Richmond did a power of work on Tom Lynch before they won the flag last year. So about this time last year, they got serious with it, Joey, and finished and went into the final series last year thinking they're a really good chance to get Lynch when he comes out of contract. They obviously won a flag, and we've had some commentary from players within the club, Alex Rance particularly, saying, well, do we actually need him now? They're all in on it, though. Rance has got his absolute own head around that now, so they're all in on still adding him to the mix, but Hawthorn also. It is those 3 clubs. Collingwood's the one that I'm hearing more strongly this week than previous weeks.
Do they need to release some money, Collingwood? Obviously, that would help if they got rid of Darcy Moore. Does that squeeze out the injured Daniel Wells for another year?
He's contracted, and as such will have to be acknowledged and honoured in some form. You can come to a deal, but it will have to be factored in.
Barry, you live on the Gold Coast. There was reports in the paper, and it has been floating around football the last couple of weeks about people approaching Stephen May, who I believe is contracted next year.
Correct.
As well, Damo. But gee whiz, if push came to shove and they lost both those players. You're up on the Gold Coast day today. How's footy on the coast?
Well, it's not great. Let's be perfectly honest. Obviously, they need to win games on field. It's a tough market to be in, Gold Coast at the moment. It's any sport up there is tough. You know, the Gold Coast Titans who are playing okay football, it's a tough market for them, and it's a rugby league sort of state. So it's a tough market to crack, Gold Coast, and, you know, they've been in the competition, 7 or 8 years now.
2011 they came in.
Yeah. Yep. So, you know, they should have done a lot more. They should have at least made a final series by now. When you look at the draft picks they've had, some of the support they've had from the AFL, they just should have done more with it, let's be quite frank. But at the moment, just things are going wrong, and I'm really fearful about the Tom Lynch thing, whether that's another crack in the damn wall that's just going to break that wall open. Will Stevie May go then? And where's the club left then? They're probably their best 2 players that are probably the most prominent leaders. I don't know where it goes from there. I really don't. Do players want to go there? Probably not.
Well, they don't.
No.
They simply don't. They want to get out of there. With Lynch, Barry, is he as good as we've been led to believe as an industry in terms of talent?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, he's a competitor.
He's absolutely high end. Okay.
Yeah, I did a bit of training with them when I first went to the Gold Coast, and that was when Rodney Eade was there. He's a quality person. He's a really good kid. He's a hard worker. We know he's a competitor, and he's got talent to burn. So he's a guy that, yes, you can build a club around. And as I said, I hope Gold Coast can keep him, because I just don't see, the future being bright without him, to be perfectly honest.
We've got your opportunity. Send us a question at Triple M Footy. You can ask Barry Hall whatever you want in about 15 minutes' time. Joey, Damo and Nath will be putting one question to Barry. Doesn't matter what it is. Be interested to see how the big man responds. Jack McRae is in the box. Damo, we've got about a minute till a break. Jordan DeGoey.
Yeah, just saying before to Brownie, Howie, that the camp, as in the Ben Nile management of Jordan DeGoey, has, as far as we believe, given a very strong indication to Collingwood they will deal with them until they get the figure right. So that's up to Collingwood now to get that figure to a point that they can sign off on that. And it's comforting, and it's probably the best way to do business when you're in the DeGoey situation. They've looked after him. There's an acknowledgement of that amongst all this, but obviously they have budgeted, Howie, as far as I can tell, for to not go over $500,000 on this new contract, but his form in the past 2 months has been extraordinary. So, and the offers that are coming in thick now, they're going to have to go at least 150 over that initial budgeting.
He's a man in demand. Jack McRae, the injured dog, to join us in the box next for the Mitsubishi Triton. This is the Triple M Friday Huddle. The Mitsubishi end of year financial year sale is on now. See your Mitsubishi dealer today. For McDonald's, Triple M rocks footy.
105.1 Triple M weekend traffic.
The new BP Me app. Pay for fuel from your car.
Not good news for Cats fans coming in from the west. We've got a praying now. It's inbound on the Westgate Freeway just prior to Kingsway. Traffic is building very quickly with 2 left lanes currently out of action. Heavy off the bridge and building. Unfortunately, not going to be a good run at all. You'll find a breakdown on the ring road near Pascoe Road. Greensboro bound has cleared, but still pretty slow going for traffic from the Western Freeway up to around Keilor Park Drive. Slowing again a touch from the Tulla through the Chicana. Focus on Furniture's massive mid-year sale up to 50% off plus 5 years interest free. That's up to 50% off plus 5 years interest free. This weekend only at Focus on Furniture. That's your Triple M traffic up to date.
Triple M's Classic 666.
And he said,
a countdown built from 38 years of phone call, email, fax and courier pigeon requests. That's right, little Gary. A countdown. And when we play the Gunners anywhere in the countdown, you'll see them live in Hong Kong to celebrate Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction Locked and Loaded.
Their debut album remastered and expanded.
That's every single time we play them in Triple M's Classic 666.
Win Monday from 9.
G'day, Richo here. The best game day tip I can give you is, for every game of every round, get to the ground with Metro. It's the easiest way to get there and back, because there'll be no fights over who gets the front seat, no bumper-to-bumper traffic, and there's plenty of room for the entire family. In fact, the whole cheer squad.
Metro is running extra services to all round 15 games. Tonight to the Western Bulldogs versus Geelong. Tomorrow to Carlton versus Port Adelaide. And on Sunday to Melbourne versus St Kilda and Essendon versus North Melbourne.
Never miss a minute of the action. Get into the game with Metro.
The Mercedes-Benz Sprinter run-out is now on. If you're after a reliable large van with top-notch safety, then check out our great deals across all Sprinter models. So run in for run-out prices. Search Sprinter Run-Out to find out more.
All good things must come to an end, but you still have time to get every TV pack free for 1 month, thanks to Foxtel's famous end of financial year sale. With no lock-in contract, nothing to pay for 1 month, and no catches, how could you say no? Call 13 17 87 or search Foxtel offer. But hurry, this EFS offer must end tomorrow. Offer based on direct debit for 1 month of Platinum HD. New residential customers and standard install only. Offer ends June 30, 2018.
In 2018, Triple M rocks footy. With IGA Liquor. Stock up for the footy season at IGA Liquor. Head to igaliquor.com.au to find your nearest store. Cbus Super. Building a future we can all be proud of. Find out more at cbussuper.com.au. And Bosch Professional Power Tools, Batteries and Chargers. Now backed by a 6-year warranty. Good, better, Bosch. In 2018, for McDonald's, Triple M rocks footy.
At Indeed, we believe a hiring website should offer every business a fair go, not just big business. So with Indeed, you'll attract great candidates with free job listings. No upfront costs, credit cards, or long-term contracts. Since it's free to post, Indeed gives a business of any size a fair go at hiring. Post your job today for free at Indeed.com/free. Terms, conditions, quality standards and usage limits apply.
This summer, Melbourne's burning up with a Hotter Than Hell tour, featuring Australia's finest rock acts. And you could win VIP tickets for you and 3 mates, along with limo transfers, merch pack, and a $500 gift voucher. Head to the Triple M win page for details and to enter.
We know your partner has a to-do list for you a mile long. Clean out the shed, mow the lawns, and do something about those disgusting rodents. If you don't attend to a growing pest problem, they will spread disease and cause serious damage. Dawson's Australia are the pest professionals and have over 50 years experience. So save yourself the hassle and nagging from your other half by contacting Dawson's today. All pests, all suburbs, same day service. Call 922 2222 or visit dawsonspest.com.au.
Triple M Footy is the #1 football call on radio. And your front row.
See your Mitsubishi dealer for the Mitsubishi end of financial year sale. On now for the Mitsubishi Triton. Welcome to the Triple M Friday Huddle. For McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Triple M rocks footy.
Welcome to the Friday Huddle, wherever you're joining us around Australia, around the world. We're leading up to the Dogs and the Cats. Slightly different huddle tonight. Damien Barrett, Nate Brown here alongside myself, Mark Howard. Joey Montagna calling the game and Barry Hall in special comments. Great to have those men involved. Unfortunately, our next guest is not playing and he's been having an unbelievable season for the Western Bulldogs. Jack McRae joins us in the box. We'd love to see you in the middle, Jack, but nice to see you in here for a chat. Anyway, how are you? Tell us what your injury is and when you should be playing again because, mate, you've had one of the great seasons to date, so it's unfortunate you're not out there.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for having me. Unfortunately against Port Adelaide a couple of weeks ago, it was just a low grade 2 strain in the hammy. So, originally it was about a 3 to 4 week, prognosis. So pushing to be back against, Melbourne. But, it is just a bit disappointing to watch and, you love to play and it is hard to watch the boys run out there. So, hopefully play well tonight and get back in a few weeks.
The outside world, the football world, had you leading Brownlow betting and all sorts of things. You're having an unbelievable year. Internally, why do you think you've been playing so good yourself in 2018? Better than you ever have, and do you think it is better than you have played before?
Yeah, I think it probably was career best footy, but probably just the leading into the season, the coaches and everyone around the club gave me a lot more responsibility to play pretty much predominantly as a midfielder. And, it's been well reported the experience and leadership we've lost over the last few years and something I really took upon myself to try and be a leader in the midfield. And, that's probably one area that I really thought I could improve on. And in the first 11 weeks, I thought I did pretty well in.
Jack, in your first few years, it was, I guess people said that you didn't hurt the opposition with your foot skills. You got a lot of the football. What have you done over the last pre-season? Because your foot skills this year have been outstanding. I mean, almost to the elite level. You hit targets continuously, which is a lot different to what you did in the first couple of years.
Yeah, I think it was... I was a high draft pick and it was probably one of those things where every time I got the ball, I wanted to show off what I could do with it and the skill that I had. And it was something that I probably learned was the time and place when to take on a hard kick and just to take the easy option. And something that probably I struggled with the first few years of my career. As you said, I was getting quite a lot of the ball, but I was either turning it over or probably wasn't using it to the best that I could. So I think just maturing and knowing my game a lot more has really helped in that area.
Jack, everyone's had an opinion from the outside as to what's happened to your club since 2016. You've won the 15 of the 35 games since. Having lived through it, in your eyes, what has been the reason for the slump?
It is hard to put your finger on one exact reason, but if you just look at even who's playing tonight compared to when people talk about the 2016 premiership, it is a vastly different team. So, that's one reason. There's been injuries, players retiring, and also form drop-off in that as well. So everyone knows how hard it is to climb the mountain and win the premiership. And I'm not saying that, because we won the 16 premiership, I'm happy with my career to date. So from all I can say is I can speak for myself, and I'm, bitterly disappointed for how it's gone since then. But at the same time, no one's sitting back saying, oh, we've got the 16 premiership, nothing else really matters.
And with the 4 wins you've had to this point of this year, do you feel you're actually better than a 4-win season to this point?
Yeah, I think so. I think, we've lost, obviously North Melbourne, that was heart-wrenching. Sydney early in the year, we were probably a game we should have won as well, here as well. So that's, if we turn that's 6-6, or, I don't know 6-6, I think. So, you turn those two games around and, when I just touched on the experience that we had, probably in years past, we'd probably win those close games. So, that just points to the inexperience that we're probably playing with at the moment.
Jack, last week, was it a turning point from a season's point of view? You had some really good form. Probably should have won the game in the end, but you're obviously pleased in your form last week. Do you think that's a turning point for this season?
I hope so. I think when you talk about our brand of footy, that when you watch the game, that's what you want to see. And I couldn't remember the exact numbers, but the pressure level was off the scale, and that's how we want to hunt the opposition and use the footy well. And especially, for most of that game last week against a good side in North Melbourne, we did that extremely well.
Mm-hmm. Tell us about player making his debut, Brad Lynch. Good story.
Yeah, it's incredible story. Boy from WA. He was a rookie list player, so he's taken a few years. I think it's his third season this year. So he was very raw when he got to the club, and a few of the boys were thinking, "Who is this bloke we've gotten down to the club?" And he's had a difficult transition from WA as you could imagine. So it's the boys were absolutely ecstatic, and he's one of those boys that everyone just wants to perform well.
It's amazing how assured you looked in the back end last week. You had Dale Morris back, obviously, but Marcus Adams, who's a bit of the forgotten man, he's a big beast. Probably get Tommy Hawkins tonight, but just so better structured up last week, I thought, in your back end.
Yeah, well, Dale Morris, he's one of the few players that we do have out there that's played over 200 games. So it is great to have that leadership and general in the back line. And Marcus Adams, he hasn't played much footy, but he is 23, 24 years old, and he's extremely well built as well.
Speaking of Jack McRae on the Friday huddle.
Speaking of matchups, Josh Dunkley went with Higgins last week. Will he go to Dangerfield this week?
I'm not too sure. I think, they've got Dangerfield and Selwood as well. So, they're probably their two main, and obviously Gary Ablett, but, they're probably their two main, ball winners and really get their team going. So it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight.
There's some big raps on Aaron Norton. What can you tell us about him?
Yeah, he's another WA boy, and, he's incredible. When, I found out he was going to play forward last week, it was, I don't think he's ever really played forward, so it just goes to show that pure football instinct that he has at launch here, the ball marking and goal sense, which is so hard to find, really surprised me. So, we might have drafted a key back, but he might be a forward, which is great.
Hey, Jack, for all your supporters out there listening, you had such an incredible time at your footy club. 2016, you won the premiership with a really young list, and it was... it was footy supporters are like, wow, we've got one for the first time in 40 years. Can we get another and another? It hasn't happened. For those that are listening, how would you explain what's happened? I know there's been an enormous changeover of players, but from inside the walls, there's been rumour, there's been innuendo, all stuff we don't need to go on to and into. From a player's perspective, what do you reckon's happened in the space of 18 months' time?
As I touched on with Damo's question, it is hard to point, exact reason. But all I can say is the 18 months is been and gone. So all I'm focused on is what we're putting out week in, week out going forward. So I feel I still have a whole big chunk of my football career forward. We've got some extremely great young players. Aaron Norton, Ed Richards, he's been terrific so far this year. Obviously, Marcus Bontempelli and Toby McLean are both extremely young as well. So I think we've got a great young core of group of players that can really take the club forward. And, obviously North Melbourne last week was a great start to getting back to the football we want to play. And when I come back in, that's what I'm going to aim to continue on.
And just as we let you go, mate, what are you up to away from footy? I know it's a pretty intense world. What do you get up to when you're not at the footy club?
Not too much. I'm doing a business degree with a few of the boys, so that keeps me busy. And besides that, not a whole lot, just playing PlayStation and hanging out with the boys, really.
What's your business degree all about? Are you going to take over the world when you wind up, or...?
I'm not too sure, really. As I touched on, hopefully got a few more years left of footy, but just keeping my avenues open and see where the world takes me.
Got a partner, Jack?
Yeah, I've got a Louisa. I've been with her for 4 years now, so we live together, and yeah, she's all about footy, unfortunately for her.
Just trying to look after you, mate. If you weren't, it's advertisement. I was trying to...
Do you do the cooking, or does she do the cooking?
No, unfortunately, it's she does all the cooking. I can do pasta normally the night before a game, so that helps her out a bit, but I'm a bit hopeless, unfortunately.
Sounds like it's lucky you're good at footy, Jack. Hey, mate, we appreciate your time. As I said at the start, it's a great shame you're not out there because you're having a wonderful season. Hopefully you get back out there and the Bulldogs can turn their season around with a win against the Cats, who you would have never beaten, I reckon.
No, unfortunately haven't. They've had the whatever. So hopefully the boys get it done tonight.
Tonight's the night. Good on you. Jack McRae joining us from the Western Bulldogs. Plenty to come on the Friday Huddle. Damo's got a lot of news, especially relating to where the game is going and what rule changes may or may not be coming in. For the Mitsubishi Triton, this is the Triple M Friday Huddle. McDonald's, Triple M, Rocks Footy.
105.1 Triple M, weekend traffic.
The new BP Me app. Pay for fuel from your car.
Not good news for Cats fans coming in from the west. We've got a praying now. It's inbound on the Westgate Freeway just prior to Kings Way. Traffic is building very quickly with 2 left lanes currently out of action. Heavy off the bridge and building. Unfortunately, not going to be a good run at all. You'll find a breakdown on the ring road near Pascoe Road. Greensboro bound has cleared, but still pretty slow going for traffic from the Western Freeway up to around Keilor Park Drive. Slowing again a touch from the Tulla through the Jacana. Focus on Furniture's massive mid-year sale up to 50% off plus 5 years interest free. That's up to 50% off plus 5 years interest free. This weekend only at Focus on Furniture. That's your Triple M traffic up to date.
Melbourne. There's only one show that not only breaks the big stories.
Huge story this morning in Melbourne.
But is part of the big stories.
It was a little bit more abrupt, to be honest.
One show that is all over the big AFL stories.
Joey Brownlee's ready to fire this morning.
And one show that is everything Melbourne.
We've got the inside word.
And that show is Triple M's Hot Breakfast.
You've made my morning, mate.
Eddie Maguire, Luke Darcy, Will Anderson. Returns July 16.
For a lawyer who's there for you, visit gordonlegal.com.au.
Well, the hottest of hot butter you've ever seen. Ream comes on steady, hot and strong. It just keeps on and on.
Ream's been proudly manufacturing here in Australia for over 80 years.
Install a Ream. Install a Ream.
So ask your plumber for Ream, Australia's #1.
The Mitsubishi end of financial year sale is on now with free auto upgrades across selected Triton models like the super tough Triton Blackline 4x4 with black alloys, fenders, grille, sports bar, tub liner and the added performance of a locking rear diff. All for just $41,490 drive away with a free auto upgrade. Mitsubishi end of financial year sale. The time of your life starts now. While stocks last, private buyers and ABN holders, terms and conditions apply.
Fans invest a lot of energy in footy, and we love energy. That's why we're proud to power up the AFL. Ball! So we're sending 4 fans to the 2018 Toyota AFL Grand Final. Ball! With tickets, hospitality, flights, and accommodation up for grabs. Just switch to our Simply AFL Plus offer by August 17. Now that's a free kick. Call Simply Energy on 13 88 82 or switch online today.
18 plus. T's and C's apply. See simplyenergy.com.au. GFAFL 18/67.
Don't miss the Real Madrid World of Football experience. Discover famous trophies and memorabilia. Experience match day in a 360-degree cinema and play in the interactive zones. Open now for a limited time at the Melbourne Museum Plaza. Book at Ticketek.
End of financial year? Boring. Half-price bonus data OVO mobile sale? Not boring. Right now, get 50% off and up to double data with OVO for the first 3 months. 40 gig for $24.98 or 25 gig for $17.98 a month for the first 3 months, all on Optus 4G. That's an end of financial year deal worth calling home about. Don't miss out. Sale ends June 30. Visit ovo.com.au today. 3-month 50% in data offer for a limited time only. New services only. Terms and fair use policy apply.
Jess left the teaching world to run a cake baking business.
Sounds like she prefers working in her kitchen to a classroom. It's just as noisy, but lets her focus on her passion for making masterpieces.
And done.
That's how Jess does business. For however you do business, talk to a CommBank small business specialist today about what's important to your business. With CommBank, you can.
certified 100% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. SBS On Demand presents a classic spy story with a twist. Academy Award winner J.K. Simmons stars in Counterpart. Binge the entire first season free, only on SBS On Demand.
For McDonald's,
I am loving it. Triple M rocks footy.
See your Mitsubishi dealer for the Mitsubishi end of financial year sale. On now. For the Mitsubishi Triton, this is the Triple M Friday Night Huddle.
Very nice to speak to Jack McRae in the box, injured at Western Bulldog. Corey Enright will join us on the boundary shortly from the Cats. This is the Friday Huddle. Mark Howard, Leigh Montagna, Damien Barrett, Nathan Brown. Damo, I've been pestering you for weeks that I want to talk about rules, and you're like, no, Howie, they're boring. So let's come at it from a different angle. Reading the Herald Sun today, the fountain of all knowledge, it almost was that they were saying this is going to happen and these are the changes that are going to come in. It was the first time I'd read the publication basically saying that the game is going to change significantly from round one next season. Is that your understanding?
Yeah, the clubs are preparing for that to be the case. And we now know that we've had three examples at footy clubs. Fremantle was the latest, following Brisbane Lions, and prior to that Hawthorn, who have had a match simulation training session that will take in the zones. And Joey, you, I believe, have a greater insight than I do on how this could look, because with the zoning element to it, Howie and Brownie and Joey, is it going to be, as far as you know, for every stoppage or just every stoppage post-goal?
No, I don't have much of an idea what it looks like. I think, though, first of all, I don't think the word zoning is correct. I think if it's going to be introduced at starting positions, where you basically have to start at either the centre bounce or at stoppages, but then from there you have a licence to go anywhere you like on the football ground. So I think it seems to me the people that are putting a negative slant on it want to use the word zones. But I think it might be a starting position scenario. And I did the TAC Cup Under-18 game last week, and that's where we got to look at it, where 5 forwards had to be in the front half and 2 specifically had to be inside 50. And it looked great. And all it is starting position. It just meant forwards were leading out of the goal square rather than starting up on the wing. I can see it being introduced at the AFL. I think the jungle drums are beating that this will be a way that the game can open up and can just create more space, and that's a way to do it. And I think it'd be great for the game. I was one at the start of the year, Damo, that was like a player that said, let it sort itself out. Now, as I've watched a lot of games this year, I think something needs to be done.
You explained it well last night with us here. So if there's take us through it. If there's a bounce right down here, say in front of the commentary box, maybe on half forward flank, 80 metres out from goal, how does it work? How does it look?
Well, if you have 2 or 3 pairs down the other end of the field inside the forward 50, what it means is there's 60 metres of space between a stoppage and inside 50. But there won't be that space left alone. Clubs will then start pulling other players back. So all of a sudden the stoppages won't be as congested and it'll just stretch the field. So you'll have players inside 50, you'll have players through the middle of the ground, and then less players at the stoppage is how I can see it happening. And I think it's great for everyone. I think the key forwards then get their opportunity again. I think those explosive midfielders can now break away from, we haven't seen anyone do what Chris Judd used to do at a stoppage for the last 6 or 7 years, have we? Where a player wins a ball from a stoppage and runs and breaks away. So I think it's a really viable option and it should work.
And the senior people in the footy departments at the clubs that I speak with are of the view that as you both just said, that this will be coming in some form. The extension of the length of the goal square being further out, whether it's 18 metres, whether it's 25 metres, whether it's 20 metres, but that seems to be, as much as this potential restriction of player movement on the ground, that seems to be the one thing that will absolutely come in. And it's a crucial conversation that needs to be had between now and post-season, because clubs are going to draft players and they're also going to trade players, and they need to know in that time of the AFL calendar what the new rules are. We can't wait until JLT experiences for this to happen, because you're then beholden to the decisions you've made on your list management.
Well, we had Stephen Silvani in this box last week who said the same thing. From a list management point of view, you need to know which players you want to draft, which players you want to keep on your list, and who you might want to get in from other clubs that all of a sudden become more valuable. Like, I think a Tom Lynch and a Paddy McCartan become more valuable if these new systems are in, where they can start deep and play to their strengths. And I think it is going to be introduced because they're blooding it at junior level. So the TAC Cup
been doing it for a while.
The other states' junior levels are also doing the same thing. So these kids that come through are actually going to have already played in this system. So they're going to be used to it, and I think that it'll just be a natural progression, and we won't even think about it in 5 or 6 years.
As the most recently retired player in the box, you said a moment ago that you were more of the evolutionist, that the game would sort itself out. I think that view now has been counteracted and overtaken by the need to do something view. And are you now in that camp fully?
Yeah, I am. Now being able to watch all the games across the season so far, I just think the standard of football and the amount of congestion and pressure pressure around the ball. It's just taken away from the spectacle a little bit. The only counter that I have, Brownie, be interesting to get your take, is at the moment we get the congestion and we get teams playing a pressure game, which means you don't need to have the ability to be in a game. And we might have some low scores, but what we're getting is closer contests. My worry is if the game opens up and it's more high scoring, yes, we get more goals, but does that mean more blowouts? And is that necessarily better for the competition than having an 80 to 65 point game as opposed to 120 to 70?
It suits the better sides, without a doubt. It suits the slick sides who set up really well, who can use the footy really well. Look, but general supporters aren't going to like it, and obviously the proof will be in the pudding when they actually do it, and maybe they need to bite the bullet and do it and then give it that period, and then punters might come around and go, well, actually, it has opened up the game. It is
why
better.
won't the punter like it?
I just don't think the general supporter will like the fact that you have to have a zone, you have to have 3 players inside forward 50. It is bucking with tradition. It is change. It is a big change for that.
It's a
that
massive
would be
change,
the biggest change of the game in the history of the game, I would have thought.
Since it started, I would have thought.
Or since we brought in the centre square and players had to start out, or it is a big change.
I disagree. I don't think it is, because
I'm not saying it's a bad change.
No, but for 100 years we have a full forward playing at full forward. It's only been in the last 15 years where all of a sudden a full forward now starts at a stoppage up on the wing or at half forward.
Forced change.
It is a forced change.
Evolution. Damo, I'm no great understanding of the animal kingdom, but I think it was the dung beetle that was introduced in Queensland to fix a problem, and all of a sudden he got out of control, and they brought the cane toad in. I think the cane toad possibly came in to take care of the dung beetle.
What about this?
So hang on, Nate. So what happens when these changes come in and they cause other perceived problems in the game?
Alistair Clarkson will now be working on that. That's how advanced he is in his thinking. And it's no coincidence that they were the first club to trial this officially. So he's got a feel for how it works now. He would have thought about it prior to that training session. He's now got some video of that training session. He'll be already a step ahead. That's why people like Ken Hinkley and David Koch of Port Adelaide justifiably had an issue with Hawthorn having the first go at it, and for the vision to not be distributed widely.
There's two things, Howie. One, if it doesn't work, you can scrap it. You don't have to. I mean, we had the substitute vest for a period of 5 years, and that is just going to be etched in the record books that everyone will forget about and move on. It doesn't affect any team that won the premiership. It doesn't taint anything. So if the rule change doesn't work, you can go back. The other question when you talk about Alistair Clarkson that I would pose then, if the jungle drums keep beating louder, do clubs that can't make the finals this year start to implement it in their own game plan late in the season? Does a team like the Western Bulldogs or Carlton or St Kilda say, you know what, we can't make finals this year? Clubs try and get a 1% advantage every week against other teams. Why don't they say, let's actually play a game with 3 forwards staying at home. Let's see what it looks like in a real game. We can review it, we can analyse it, and then we can prepare for next year.
I could possibly do that, yeah. The other thing is, and we spoke about it last night,
I reckon Joey's made the point of the season, Nate. Much more sense than we've heard on Friday all week. And you just brushed it straight under the table. Can we just say, Joey, that was a very intelligent thought that just came out of your mouth.
I was agreeing with him and I was going to go on with it.
Okay, go on then.
Yeah. So, Joey, well done.
Thanks, Brad. Thank you.
I think the thought that the interchange bench, we spoke about it last night, Joey, we have so many interchanges at the moment. If you brought it down to say, and you capped it at 10 a quarter, and that slows the game down, obviously, and you're changing the game hopefully that way without actually changing what you see out on the field. And if then that doesn't work, maybe you change it. But I genuinely like the idea that clubs will trial this towards the end of the year if they're brave enough.
Well, there's a lot to be discussed about that. Damo, while we've got you here, a little bit more news to get through. Jeremy Cameron, I'm interested in your thoughts on that.
More so much of the send-off rule component to it, Howie. A lot of senior commentators have, and Leigh Matthews is the one that I am referring to here mostly because he's pretty strong on the possibility of bringing in a send-off rule. I don't see that working. I just don't see it working. I'm not sure someone would have had the authority last week even in the Jeremy Cameron situation at that point in time to make the call. Are we going to send him off? So I think we keep that part of the game untouched as opposed to the way we're talking about the rules.
I agree with Damo. That is messing with tradition and I don't think it's necessary. I think the only way a red card for me would work is if it was a deliberate act to get a player off for the game. Jeremy Cameron, you still couldn't send him off for that. It was a brutal hit and he deserved to get his week suspension. but it was a football collision. I mean, it's in the act of football. If someone deliberately king hit someone, then maybe you could. But I don't think that happens in our game anymore since we brought in all the cameras around the ground.
When I have a look at our rundown, we've got next Judge Juddy, which is actually written here Judge Brownie. Damo, you and I came under the idea that Brownie, after we agreed last week, was going to do Judge Brownie. You came in immediately and said, I'm really looking forward to Judge Brownie's night, didn't you, Joey?
Yep.
But apparently our man's just devoid of ideas.
It went over my head, obviously, and the producer was in Bali all week taking photos next to Duck, which I don't understand why anybody would take a photo next to Duck when you got the body like that. But no, I didn't prepare for Judge Brownie this week. I think it is the domain of Judge, and he's having a good earned rest because his last 3 weeks have been pretty poor, so he'll come back and he'll improve.
Well, you have had a big week. We played a little bit of audio a couple of weeks ago when you went on the footy show and butchered a Russian accent as far as Vladimir Putin goes. So I turn on to my Wednesday night special, and I think I'm going to watch Brownie and Damo and the boys and Eddie, and it'll be entertaining, it'll be funny. And then you came out like a Russian ballerina, and this is what you went with.
Baryshnikov.
Well, this is what you went with, Noodles.
My name is Mikhail Baryshnikov, and I'm from Sportsbet. Well, that's terrible. Congratulations to the Melbourne Dance School of Classic Art. I'm not sure why I'm dressed up like this, but it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yeah. What part of that ever seemed like a good idea?
You know what part it was? The bonuses that he gets from Sportsbet if he does that. That's the part that was a good idea. The little bonus.
Give us now. I'm gonna give us your best Russian accent. You can talk about whatever you want, Nate. On the Friday huddle, you've butchered it twice on the footy show. I want you to take yourself to Moscow. You're on the scene. You're in the Red Square. You visited Lenin's tomb. Give me your best Russian accent.
Well, hello, Mark.
Jesus,
it's going to be an interesting night.
What on earth?
Brownie. All right, move on. It wasn't my best moment the other night on the footy show, and I expected a little bit of a different outfit, and what I got, I almost pulled out probably 2 minutes before I went out there.
You should have.
They'd hired these beautiful young dancers, and I thought, well, they've spent the money, I should go out there, and I didn't give it the best effort I've ever done.
I saw him going on, Howie.
Yeah.
His heart was not in that at all.
No, it was terrible. Give us a call, 133353 huddle. We've got a problem. Joey, you've never been involved in this.
No, never done it before.
People ring in and ask whatever problems and stuff they have. We try and solve them for you on 133353. Nate, in your best Russian, just take us to the break.
For the Mitsubishi Triton, this is the Triple M Friday huddle. McDonald's Triple M. All right, football.
Hello, Melbourne.
Hello.